Hello and welcome to A Star to Steer Her By, Episode 1, Firefly.
What? Who are we?
What?
This is a Star Trek podcast. What did you just say we're doing?
Yes, okay, I'm sorry. Let me take this back. Hello and welcome to A Star to Steer Her By, a Star Trek podcast, Episode 150-ish, somewhere around there. 150-ish, 154.
Not less.
170.
Sure.
Episode 170.
Sold to
during
American.
which we will be covering the two-part season premiere, Emissary.
all going wrong.
God damn it. Okay.
What's going on?
Beep. Take 4. Hello and welcome to A Star to Steer Her By, a Star Trek podcast. Record screech thing, you can put that in. Actually, today we're gonna go we're going on a little shore leave. Play the shore leave theme song that we talked about.
It's Finnegan! Hoity-toity-toity!
Dun, dun. Alright, anyway. Yes, we are on shore leave. We have finished Star Trek The Next Thing, and we're moving on to another thing soon. But in between, we felt like it was time to do a little soul searching and visit another galaxy far, far away, the Firefly galaxy from Joss Whedon's Serenity, Star Trek V.
Exactly.
That sounds right.
So this is a show, Firefly. Mm-hmm. It's about space, a trek in space, but not a Star Trek.
It's short.
It's short.
It's only going to
it
take
is a
us,
TV.
8 weeks total to get through this?
But how long will it feel like, Chris?
So long. So Star Trek Serenity was a show on TV in 1992-ish. And it was
1992-ish?
It was built by Joss Whedon.
Wait, when was it on?
2002.
Oh, that's what I said.
September 20th through December 20th, 2002.
Ames, why do you even give him the cue cards?
And that was why we had...
set dressing.
And Joss Whedon is the guy that made Buffly Sanitizer and the other one.
Buffly Sanitizer?
And Dollhouse. And you might remember him also from Firefly, the show we're talking about now. The show was on for one season only on the Star Trek Fox network, and we are now covering the episodes that started it.
Jake, but before we get into that, can we please introduce ourselves?
Oh, yes. My name has been Jake.
This is Chris.
This is Ames.
This is Caitlin.
This is James.
We're so sorry you're here, James.
Rossi's here.
I'm actually glad you're here, but I'm sorry that Jake is this way.
All right, so we're covering Serenity, Firefly.
Jake, you've got like a minute left in the summary.
All right, we're getting there. All right, we're covering. We'll be covering the pilot episode of Star Trek Serenity called Serenity, and the episode The Train Job.
I wonder what that's about.
These are the first two episodes, I believe the first two episodes on the DVD.
Yeah.
But not necessarily the first two that were on the
Hulu
TV.
right now.
Yes.
On Hulu.
Right,
So,
because this show was famously aired in the incorrect order.
Yeah.
Which is part of why
have I shown you
it
my
met its
chart?
demise.
I have a chart of how,
oh my God, it's beautiful.
How fucked up the order Fox forced them to release in.
I'm sorry,
Fox.
They did fucking Serenity 11th?
They did Serenity as the finale instead of as the premiere on Fox.
Makes sense.
So literally, fucking no one got it in the right order. Not a single fucking person.
Did.
Oh, okay.
We'll share theirs online.
Well, thank God they got it right in fucking Switzerland.
They know where it's at.
That's why the Swiss love this show. And Americans hate it. But no, so the show was on briefly on Fox. It kind of flew under the radar.
I mean, it was a Firefly ship, so yeah, that's what it does.
I was introduced to the show probably around 2004 through a friend who had been introduced to it in college, and he had the DVD set. So that's how I came to be aware of the show, and I think that's how many people became aware of the show. I don't think it really found its popularity until it came out on DVD.
Yeah, like I remember, I only saw it in college because one of my college friends was a rabid fan and sat down with us and watched the whole thing in the intended order and made it. And they make like the rabidest of fans like have such like a sore spot about the intended order of the thing, which is why I made this graph just because I found it interesting, like how fucked up the order is in different places.
I would love to like watch it in the unintended order.
It'll make less sense. That's one of the reasons why people claim it was.
No,
one of the
totally.
people think it was canceled because it didn't make sense out of order.
No, totally. But like, I have watched the series in order, so I vaguely remember what I saw it about 3 years ago. So I vaguely remember it, but it would be interesting, like
to experience it the way people experience it at the time.
Well, and particularly because it looks like. Oh my gosh, so they never even did episodes 11 through 13 here?
No.
11 through, yeah. Wow.
Yeah, was it canceled halfway through, or did they do a limited order?
It was canceled with 13 episodes shot, but with 11 episodes aired.
Yeah.
I believe is when it was canceled. And so the other 3 were never shown in America.
Yeah.
Well, for more information on the broadcast history, refer to Wikipedia.
Listen, this is super important and interesting.
Actually,
radio,
you can probably
Jake.
go to the fan wiki for the
series. That's awesome.
Or you can just check out the sick infographic.
Chris can cut some of that.
And
Ames
we'll put
made us.
we'll put an infographic on our page web on FacePage
It's color coded
for it.
It is
very
very
it's
nice.
very pretty.
It is very pretty.
Okay, so anyway, we are going to be
Just
talking
like
about these
Alan
2
Tudyk.
shows. The first of which is called Serenity.
I'm there with Caitlin, as usual.
This is the original 2-hour pilot episode. So we are introduced first to the characters of the show that are the captain, Malcolm McDowell, and
Yep.
I'm sorry, I was looking at a toy of Malcolm McDowell at the moment. Sorry.
And Zoe Deschanel.
I like that you face him away from you.
We're Malcolm.
Soren, get out of here.
Malcolm Reynolds and so basically the show is just Star Wars. So we have Malcolm Reynolds, who is Han Solo. We have Zoe, his
Who's
sidekick,
Chewbacca?
who is Chewbacca.
Okay.
Wow, that's
We have
problematic
we have Pilot Wash, who is
That isn't
C-3PO.
Yeah, I actually would say Wash.
Yeah, Wash is
more
Chewbacca. If anyone's
No,
3PO, it's the Doctor.
No.
Wash is
Doctor,
Rio from Solo.
The Doctor and the Doctor's sister are a combination that combines into
Captain
Leia.
Planet.
into Luke Skywalker. We have the old preacher, who is obviously Obi-Wan
Ben.
Kenobi. We have the mechanic, who is R2-D2. And who else we got? I don't know.
Really?
Some other people.
Inara?
Inara.
And Nara, who is Princess Leia. Yeah.
Did you say who Jane was?
An asshole.
Darth Vader?
Sure.
Yeah, there you go.
But no,
Like,
we're introduced to the show. We basically find out
fucking
that this
asshole.
guy Malcolm Reynolds, who's the captain, he fought in a war.
We're so far into the
They
yellow
lost.
already.
They lost
lost.
the war, but he's moved on from this war.
No, he hasn't.
Yeah, no, not
he
at all.
really hasn't. His
He lost his face.
his trusty sidekick Zoe joins him on this ship that he now runs. The pilot's this dude Wash, who's married and kind of infantile.
No, shush.
No, it's adorable.
He's the best, but he's a little childish.
That's fine.
but
You
he's the
kind
best.
of have to be if you don't like, unless you
He
want to
is-
like feel dead inside all the time.
I will say he's definitely batting above his weight.
Oh, and he knows it.
What
Yeah.
do you mean with
He's
Zoe?
fully aware.
Yeah.
Have you seen those legs?
Have you ever been with a warrior woman?
I think that's next week. But
It is, but still.
Um,
Have you seen what she wears?
I mean, nothing against Alan Tudyk. He's not
all
unattractive.
right, I'm just gonna skip
but-
the rest of the synopsis since
Sorry.
we've already jumped in.
Good.
What?
That sounds great.
What is the short version?
The short version is they find a derelict, they're taking shit from it so they can sell it. It turns out that it's marked so they can't get rid of it easily because like the
Right,
Federation or
right.
whatever. And so they decide to bring it to Westworld, which is run by a crazy woman who shot Mal last time they were there. And she attempts to double-cross them again when they try to make just a fine, good deal with their found goods.
Also, the physician and his sister.
Yeah, which
What?
is Probably
Well,
the more
that's an
important.
that's an ongoing plot.
But this is where
throughout the
they
series.
pick him up and his sister's in a box, just like
Shepherd
an outlaw
Book.
star.
Yeah.
There's also a guy that
And
betrays
a
them.
mole.
Yeah,
Yes.
a mole.
Which is why it would make very little sense if you don't watch this episode first, because you're wondering what
You're
the
like,
fuck
we
is the
already
deal with
met
this chick.
Simon
Yeah.
and Willow River, whatever the fuck her name is. River?
River.
I will probably call her Willow every fucking episode of this show. I'm really sorry. I've never been able to remember what her
Warwick
fucking
Davis?
name is.
Isn't Willow actually a character in Buffy the Vampire Slayer?
Yes.
Yeah.
I don't know. Spike? I have no idea. I've never seen it.
Neither have I. Well,
yeah.
not
And
in full.
people,
I've seen random
as a
ass
side
episodes.
note, people who love Buffy are always like, you really have to watch Buffy. The first 3 or 4 seasons really fucking suck, but once you get into it, it's so good. And I'm like, I don't...
Townies
That's
really
basically
love
what. That's
Buffy.
how
I don't
people
have-
introduce Star Trek: The Next Generation too. Though.
Yeah, but like, fuck. I only watched that because I'm on a podcast.
Yeah, fair.
Unless we do a fucking Buffy the Vampire podcast, please no.
Not intended.
I'm
No.
not fucking ever watching Buffy the... Like, if the sum of the garbage that I have to get through is like more than half of the entire series, it's just never gonna happen.
All
Anyway,
right.
this series is
So-
very short, though.
Yes. So yeah.
Which is why we're covering it in, like, all of 8 weeks.
Yay.
Yeah. So I think that about does it for our coverage of the first episode.
That was the opposite of the time I tried to describe first content.
Yeah, and now all is right with the world. We are karmically balanced.
Yeah.
Uh,
We've
But I
brought
think
balance
I
to the
honestly
force.
don't know how much else there is to talk about. Is there anything?
This
For
episode
what?
We talk about the
is
episode
About
itself.
so
the
long
episode?
and so boring.
Really?
The
Yes.
pacing's terrible.
The pacing is
is
terrible.
bad.
The editing is bad.
The editing.
I
The
was-
sound is so bad.
I was so distracted during the Inara sex scene with her little boy toy
Well,
thing.
I
Because
mean-
it like she's talking and then it cuts to her to a scene where, to a look where she's not talking but her voice is still going over it. Then it cuts back again. You're like, what?
Oh, and they unfocus the camera when
Yeah.
when the coming happens.
So
Oh,
I
is
guess
that what it
so.
was?
Apparently, one of the reasons for that is the Inara.
Rossi's got a lot of notes.
Yeah, because I
Jesus.
actually pay attention. So
We don't do that on this podcast. There, sunshine.
the actress who plays Inara is not the original.
She's an actress.
Yes.
Oh.
That's
and
true. She's not great.
Shocking.
So they wound
Marina
up shooting
Baccarin.
the pilot in a way that all of Inara's scenes were separate from everyone
Not
else.
all of her scenes.
No, not all of them, but
Literally-
most
literally
of them.
day one scenes.
Yeah.
Was the other actress worse?
They didn't have.
Wow.
Joss Whedon says she didn't have chemistry with the rest of the cast and noticed it literally the first day. And
Does
replaced
anyone
her.
have
Yeah.
chemistry
There's
with
a similar
anybody, or
story
did
with
he just,
Voyager.
or would he just say that she wouldn't like fuck him, and that's what?
I was about to say,
problem
my
Yeah,
theory
he
is
might not have liked her.
He sexually harassed her and she called him on it.
I mean,
And he was like,
that's-
but I'm a feminist. And it's like, no, you aren't, Joss, you lying bald fuck.
I mean,
Well,
there's
let's not
plenty of
speculate
there's
about
plenty
things
of
we don't know.
accusations you can
Speculum?
actually level against Joss Whedon without having to invent any.
That's true.
Yeah, no, but that actress, interestingly, the real actress, what's her name?
Marina Baccarin.
Macarena. She was also in the pilot of It's Always Sunny in Philadelphia. Fun fact.
Who
What was
she?
her
Didn't know that.
role?
This is the unaired pilot that you can only find on the YouTube. But
Is this going to be a tossed salad scrambled egg
No,
show?
it's not. In a way, because if you recall, in the actual pilot of Always Sunny, there is a character who, and I apologize for saying this, for using the term, but it is the name of the character in the show that they refer to as the tranny.
That's true.
Yeah.
There is a character they called the tranny. That's in the pilot?
I'm pretty sure it's in the pilot. Well, it's in the first pilot, at least, with
Okay.
Marina Baccarin, and that's the character that she plays.
Huh?
Does she return as that character when we see...
No, that's a different actor.
Oh, okay. That's interesting. Way to kill the momentum, Jake.
I'm just saying, that was a thing. She was in the pilot. I think it's kind of cool.
So, notes on the episode.
So, notes on the episode.
Yeah, so you guys
Check
didn't.
my notes.
I had some things I thought were rather interesting. Like all the space cinematography is very reminiscent of the reboot of the Battlestar Galactica series, which I think had come out only a year or two before. At that point,
No, it hadn't even come out yet.
Are you sure? I think there was teams that worked on both shows. So maybe it started in Firefly and carried over into Battlestar Galactica. But they had like the handheld pan and scanning stuff,
Yeah.
where it would be like it was like someone was like manually zooming in to look at a ship, would miss it and then recorrect and things like that.
And the lack of sound in space.
Yeah.
Which is something that both series
That
share.
You don't like that? I like
hate
that.
it.
Oh, I
like
like
it.
it.
It's
I get that it's more realistic, but because the language of sci-fi cinema for so long has just been like, fuck it. It's just every time it happens, even though I know
that it's like correct.
that it's supposed to be like that, I had this split second of my sound fuck? Oh no, it's this fucking show.
Well, no, it's because the effect isn't there, but they swallow the music. So you don't. If you're thinking your sound went out, it's because you're having the music turned off, Chris.
Well, or it's because the fucking mixing on this show.
Yeah, I
is
guess I never
so
realized.
quiet.
The
So,
mixing was not
The
great.
mixing,
Really
like,
bad.
so one of my favorite scenes actually was the battle scene at the very beginning.
Uh-huh.
The sound on that was some of the worst I've heard in a long time. Like, I'm not a terribly great sound designer, but like the entire time I was like, I could do this 1,000 times better.
What was bad about it?
It was like levels were wrong, like the sound effects were like poorly chosen, and like you would see things like they
Not a
wouldn't always
single
line
Wilhelm
up right.
scream,
I know, not
motherfuckers.
even.
Which actually
Wasted
cons-
opportunity.
Considering how blatantly it wears its influences on its shoulder, it's kind of surprising they didn't.
Yeah.
I just found that, like, anytime there was talking, it was so quiet that I couldn't hear it, so I'd, like, crank the sound up, and the next time there was any music at all, I'd be like, Jesus fucking
Yeah.
Christ!
Oh, that's a good point.
Like,
I lost a lot
Like
of
this podcast
language.
in the early days.
Yeah,
Right.
I lost a lot of the dialogue, and sometimes it was because I couldn't tell if they were speaking in Chinese or if they were just slurring their words, or if they were too quiet. I was like, I missed whatever that was.
That
just
was
said.
another. Since you mentioned the Chinese thing, that's an interesting thing that they do on this show.
Joss Whedon does it a lot on this show.
Where they have I think the implication is that. So this is a future. This is the future of humanity.
Yeah, this is set in the year 2517.
So and basically humans have spread out into the galaxy, but
Because they used up the earth.
but they don't have their shit together. So it's all kind of
was
like
this long?
it's kind of like
No
old.
shit.
It's old westy. But the other part is that like there's like American but also Chinese influence.
Yeah,
Yet none of
they-
the main characters are Chinese.
That's
Yeah,
the hard
that
part.
annoys me. That was one thing I noticed.
Like there's
Well,
no
it's not
Asian
like-
people at all in the main cast.
Well, it's like, and not
More
even
of a
or
supporting
any
cast.
cast.
Yeah,
Yeah, I was
not,
gonna say,
even,
like,
not even in the
cast.
recurring.
not
Yeah.
like that's one thing I
Not a lot.
noticed right away. It was like, all right, so there's supposed to be this huge Asian influence, but in the first 2 episodes, all we see are like background extras who don't even have lines, who are just there to be like ethnic decoration.
Yeah.
And even like like River and Simon. Their surname is Tam, which kind of makes you wonder, like, were they supposed to be Asian actors originally?
Tam?
Like,
T-A-M?
T-A-M.
Doesn't
Yeah.
feel Asian.
Was
It
the
feels like it could
is
be.
it possible
feels like
that the
Robert
idea
Jordan
that
Will
like
of Timey.
that like over the centuries like the melting pot effect and everyone has homogenized? No, that doesn't make
no,
any
because
sense.
there's still
Yeah,
black
yeah.
actors. And,
Yeah.
Yeah, you see a
Doesn't-
lot
yeah.
of like stereotypical Asian, like
Yeah, when they
It's
were on,
really
when they were
stereotypical.
on that planet, there were like people in like ninja costumes and shit. And I was
yeah,
like,
there were a couple
"Mm."
people
What?
doing like some
Yeah.
very
I
missed
sword
the
fighting for
ninja
display.
costumes.
Or like more like samurai, I guess maybe.
Yeah.
So-
like
So I guess supposedly Kaylee's was supposed to be an Asian actor.
Oh.
And that's why Kaylee has some of like the most explicit Asian costuming, and Karoom has
Yeah,
a
she
whole
does.
lot
She's got
more.
like kimonos and
Right.
and
I think
shit.
she
That
even
makes
she
sense.
even has like the wooden shoes through some of it. Like,
I think
Oh,
when she's
interesting.
trying to, the scene specifically where she's trying to get passengers, yeah, I think she is.
yeah,
No,
but,
yeah, she had, like, a parasol.
Yeah, the sun
supposedly,
parasol,
so
yeah.
supposedly she was supposed to be an Asian actress, but I guess they couldn't find any in Los Angeles.
No.
I
Yeah,
mean,
there-
we
there
know how
aren't any,
few
to be
East
fair.
Asians
Yeah.
there are in California.
Yeah.
There's like none.
No.
They're all in Wisconsin.
Yeah.
yeah.
Shit,
I mean, I look-
there
I
actually is a
look-
fairly large Asian population in Wisconsin.
Great.
Wow.
I mean, I look at this, and I see why you want it to have the Asian influence in like permeating your show. I see the reason why Joss Whedon went for this. I just think it's pulled off in a way that becomes distracting.
Well, yeah, because
It's-
like from basically the first couple minutes of the episode.
It's almost fetishized.
Exactly.
As well.
Mhm.
It's almost like someone went to like Chinatown and was like, I'm gonna buy all the stuff in this store that's really cheap and then plaster it all over my room and I will be cultured now. And it's like, no, that's the cheap stuff that even they know it's cheap stuff. They're using it for throwaway purposes.
Yeah,
Like,
Joss Whedon even says like, "Oh, you wanna know what the whole theme of the show is?" And you look at the first scene where everyone is eating together in the mess hall or in the kitchen area, and you've got cans of beans, you've got cans of food, and they're all eating together, and some of them have chopsticks, and that's what I'm going for. And I'm like, oh,
Well,
okay.
that's
What
what.
a fucking idiot.
And then they, and I'm sure, I don't speak Chinese, but when the white actors,
oh
or
yeah,
I'll say Western actors
It
because
doesn't
they're not all
sound
white,
great.
but yeah, it does not sound. I would hazard that someone who was a native speaker would cringe at whatever they're attempting to say.
Probably.
Well,
yeah.
as a native English speaker, I I do about some of the things they say in English too. We were talking about the use of goram.
Every time they say that, I die inside.
What is it? What is that supposed to be?
Goddamn. But it's also, Chris was like, "Oh, I hate you." We were talking. I know we're not supposed to talk about it, but when he was watching, we were sort of chatting a little bit.
I had
and
to
he was
vent,
like,
or
"They
my
have the
brain
words
was
God
gonna
and the
melt.
words damn. Why are they saying garam?" And I was like, I said, I don't think that's future speak. I think that's like throwback to Old West speak. Like I
almost feel a little bit like, is it to get by the censor too?
Yeah, I kind of thought of that as
That's
well,
true.
but-
In 2002, it might have been a little.
But
harder.
it's still
Simpsons
just
was on.
such a stupid fucking word.
Chris really likes this show. Everybody.
They do make up there's a lot of like language. Like I feel like Joss Whedon and company put in a lot of thought into the world building, but it's all very skin deep. It's all like, let's come up with some goofy words.
I was about to say, did they put a lot of, like, I think it's very surface level, because
Yeah,
you
that's what I
said
mean.
this ages ago, and I don't remember if it made it into the episode, but we were once discussing the idea of space westerns,
Yeah.
and the fact that this takes the concept too literally.
It is very like, I mean, there's horses and shit.
Yeah, like, it basically was just like, I want to do a space show, but I want them to be cowboys. Like, there's no twist, there's no clever, like...
It's the final frontier, but it's actually the frontier.
Yeah, like, it's
Yeah.
there's nothing... like you said, and again, I don't know if this is in the episode, I might be repeating stuff that people have heard, but like, Cowboy Bebop is a space western, but they do it less literally.
It doesn't feel like, they're not in an Old West saloon.
Yeah, like there's western elements, there's tropes there, but they're being played with and modified. This is just, what if cowboys had spaceships?
Mm-hmm.
And it's so... Like... So I am the lone Firefly virgin on this podcast, I think, right?
Mm-hmm.
So my prevailing thought so far is that it's just everything about this show strikes me as lazy. Like, I want to do a space western, but I don't want to put much thought into it, so fuck it, it's just literally a western in space. It's the whole,
there's a lot of world building if you look at it.
Yeah, there is a lot they do. I feel like there's parts where I see where you're coming at it, and like I think like the language stuff is one of those parts where it's just like it's very surface level, and it's just like window dressing to be like, ooh, it's future. But I do think that they like there's things that are suggested in the show. Like I am very interested in the Alliance, who's like the big bad empire.
Yeah, the politics that live underneath. Like the one thing I'm watching is they're watching like the war of the outer planets want independence from the Alliance, which is mostly on the inner planets because it's easier to get around in the inners, and the outers are literally the Wild West, only they're the wild out planets and moons.
That's the Outer Rim, like in Star Wars.
Sure.
But it also seemed, but like other than the stuff with the TAMs, where they clearly there was some bullshit going on, like some CIA type shit with River. It said that she was sent to some like school for gifted kids where they fucked with her brain.
Oh, is that what it is? Is she MK Ultra?
That's what it sounds like.
What's that?
I didn't even make that. I didn't even think of that.
Like CIA mind control experiments.
Yeah, like LSD and shit.
What's MK Ultra?
It was a thing that the CIA
It was
did.
a
in the
CIA
60s.
project.
Yeah, that's
for
I thought it was a
for
TV
mind-
show.
No,
Sorry,
it was a real thing.
it was like a mind
Yeah,
control project.
Yeah, the CIA basically doped people and tried to they did like mind control experience and ESP and all that shit in the 60s.
Fun.
Yeah.
It was all bullshit, obviously.
They wasted a lot of money on it.
But anyways, that's the implication. So the Alliance is kind of like, but at the same time,
Just sounds like MK Ultra could be an anime.
we are
Or
only
a
getting
condom.
this story from the
Or a shitty beer.
perspective of. We're only getting this story from the perspective of Mal, who has
Yeah.
a major axe to grind.
Yeah.
And like everybody in the in the independent, the outer territories on Persephone and the planet with the old lady that they shoot up, like
Westworld.
like these people are all really fucked up. Like this is a bad place. Like, how bad could the Alliance be?
Yeah, like...
What would it be like if there weren't Alliance, too? Like, what if they got their independence? Would they still be around?
I think they would just... It just sounds like they would all
Can
just
they
be murdering
govern
each
themselves?
other. Like, no.
That's the thing.
They're all just thieves that murder each other.
I had the same problem where there's a lot of telling not showing so far.
It's the not finale, the opposite of finale. Premiere.
Yeah. But like, yeah, so far it's like, all right, all we really know, again, aside from the like weird sketchy school, which, might not even be something that sort of most of the government is aware of. The Alliance is like, yeah, a bunch of kind of annoying bureaucrats, but they don't necessarily seem like evil.
Yeah, they don't
Yeah.
want people committing crimes.
They just basically are like, look, libertarianism is kind of dumb.
Well, there's no Darth Vader figure, and like the one like Imperial or Alliance officer that we see
Dobson?
is going to arrest them for stealing, for
Salvaging.
scavenging
without a license.
without a license, and then, but instead of doing that, leaves them to go rescue a ship of people. That it was a trick that our heroes played on them. But,
Yes.
like, okay, well, that's interesting.
The
big bad empire seems to be actually like
just kind of
If anything, they're more too big for their own good and kind of careless with stuff.
Yeah.
Like, it's like, you can see that they're like, all right, there's probably well-meaning people in here, but like, sometimes they're just like, the priority from the top brass is we don't worry about this stranded ship. And so it's like, that's pretty bad, but...
I mean, it's cold and indifferent, but it's like... Also, one thing that really annoys me about every Alliance scene we've had so far is like, it feels like they're from a different show.
How much we haven't seen the Alliance a ton in
No, I know, but
Serenity.
even what little we have, it's like...
I mean, but that's kind of the point. They are entirely different.
But
they're from a place where they shower every day.
Right, no, but what I mean though is like, there's something
I
about...
fucking hate people like that, you know?
You can have people that are from different lifestyles but still feel like they belong in the same world.
But that's the point, there is this fundamental conflict between the group that's trying to maintain order and the group that doesn't want to follow rules.
Right, no, but what I mean though is like, it just, everything about their like...
Aesthetic?
Not just that, because that... Like, you can have clashing aesthetics, but they still feel like they were designed for the same program.
Yeah.
I feel like they're from a different show altogether. Like... There's something about their way... Everything about their costumes looks cheap, first of all.
Give me an example of who you're talking about.
The officers we see in that office block spaceship.
Okay, when they're trying to get them for salvage.
Yeah, like we're on the bridge. Like, just everything about that scene looked way cheaper than the rest of the show. Like, the lighting was kind of harsh. The costumes looked lazily done. Like... I'm just like, hey, have we gone to a different lower budget science fiction show all of a sudden? They felt like they'd spliced in footage from a completely separate program.
We're gonna lose all our audience on this
also,
podcast.
I don't know if I agree necessarily.
Yeah,
I mean,
disagree.
maybe it's just me, but that's what it felt like. Also, I despise their trooper armor. Because it just looks like they bought leftovers from Starship Troopers and added some purple.
I'm not wearing hockey
pants. they did.
Oh, is that literally what they did?
Those costumes are the Starship Troopers.
Woo!
Costumes.
Haven't even seen that movie.
Yeah.
You should watch Starship Troopers.
Yeah, they're very based on the UN, the general armor.
Okay,
Yeah.
cool.
But yeah, I don't know. I see where you're coming from, Chris, but I do think... So I think the implication, yes, maybe the quality. I mean, that's a budgetary thing, but in terms of the sterile lighting and the trooper outfits, I mean, I think that the suggestion is clear here that this empire, the Alliance, is like the evil empire.
Yeah, but I don't know.
The one thing this show does that's incredible is the costuming and the set design and making things feel lived in. And so you're experiencing that for like the entire episode, and then they show you the Alliance, and it's like there's nothing. There is absolutely
It's sterile.
nothing.
They can have all of their uniforms pressed.
Yeah, it's like hallways are empty. Everyone's wearing the same thing that doesn't look like anything else on the show.
Yeah, it just for some reason it feels like I feel like there's a way you can do that, but it can still.
I mean, I think it does exactly what it's supposed to. It's a different world, and these are two different cultures that are clashing.
It's supposed to be jarring. It's supposed to make you feel like you're watching two different shows until you start seeing more of them, which we will.
Yeah, it didn't work as much for me here.
Now, I wonder if it would have been interesting if they had more ethnic diversity in our main cast, especially if they had an Asian character in the main cast, and then because we could see that the Empire. I'm just going to keep calling them the Empire.
That's fine.
Sorry.
Yeah,
they are if they're being portrayed as like this like ethnic homogenized thing where it's like. The master race, that type of thing could have been an interesting way to further, because that's kind of what they do in Star Wars with their empires. Is they are like everywhere else in the galaxy you have all these aliens, but when you look at the Empire, it's just white humans, people.
Yeah.
Now, of course, Firefly doesn't have aliens, which is interesting. for a space show. No, like which is I think an interesting choice that they made.
And because it makes all of the drama human drama and not like sci-fi drama.
Yeah,
it's all stuff that comes from what humans are doing to the universe and to each other.
Yeah, it's basically it's one of those shows where it could. There's nothing thematic in this show that requires it to be set in space.
Yeah,
you're right. It could you could take the exact same script, swap out like references to the ship to like the wagon, and you could seriously place this in the Old West.
Yeah,
it could be Bonanza. Maybe not Bonanza.
After watching these episodes, my thesis is that the bad guy is rich people, and I don't remember how the rest of the show goes, but I'm hoping that.
But the good
well,
guys,
that's true about real life.
The bad guys, rich people, but the good guys are like Ayn Rand fans
and Confederates, maybe.
Yeah, there's some interesting things here, right?
So, I fucking hate Mal's guts so far.
Mal really does seem like a prick.
Yeah,
I think that's part of the character.
But you think he's a history and heritage type of prick? That's unfortunate.
Well, I mean, I think he's a.
You think he's like, what are you talking about? My first mate's black. I'm not racist. Fuck you.
No, I'm not saying about the racism. I don't think he's that. But I do think he's definitely a sovereign citizen type.
Yeah, no, he would definitely have a "Don't Tread on Me" bumper sticker.
Yes. Yeah. When I say Ayn Rand, that's what I mean. Yeah. Not the other parts of that.
So something that's interesting on this first episode, since we're talking about Mal, is but it might not be interesting. You're right. So I think this is Mal at his worst. I think they soften him up in the next few episodes, definitely. But in this episode, like he does nothing the entire time, I feel, to actually prove himself like a good leader or inspiring, or that anyone would actually have any dedication to this guy.
A lot of my notes on this episode are just, am I supposed to like this guy?
So
I hate this guy.
I think it got changed. So it's like, so the pilot would have been made, and that would have been made in isolation, and then the show would have gotten picked up.
Yeah, I think this
afterward,
is one of the
and changes would have been made.
Yeah, I think it's one of the main reasons Fox didn't want this to be the pilot, was because the main character is just so sour. And also they were looking for, more action and shit.
Yeah, like I watched this and I'm like, I'm sure the idea is that we'll watch him grow as a person. But by the end of the first episode, it was like, you've done nothing to make me care about him. I don't want to see his growth. I want him to get shoved out an airlock with Jane.
Right, yeah, like in the...
Oh my god, Jane is the fucking worst.
The dinner scene with Jane is I think a pretty good example of it, where like Jane makes a crack at someone's expense, and Mal's like,
Kaylee's expense.
Yeah, and Mal's like, get up and leave, and like it's like really freaking abusive. Like, comes off really, really like controlling and awful and abusive, and it's just
what
like
Mal
this is
says
not
or what Jane says.
What Mal says.
Oh, okay.
Like,
yeah,
I mean, Jane's being a
it.
dick and probably should have been asked to leave, but like the whole interaction is just
Jane
like abusive.
The thing is, Jane cannot help being the way he is. It's an addiction. It's Jane's addiction.
Also, it's actually just, it turns out, Adam Baldwin.
Yeah, he's a fucking
Is he? I don't know.
Yeah, it
he
turns
was like
out
a gamer gator.
He's an alt-right douchebag, it turns out.
That.
Like, he's not acting that much, it turns out.
But, like, actually, so Jane is written to be an asshole, and he is an asshole, and he's always an asshole. And I like that. I like that. Like,
that he doesn't have growth. That he never has any redeeming
he's just
fucking
what
qualities.
He is.
He's unapologetic.
And I think I think in terms of the show, I think having a character like that, it would be like if one of the bridge crew on the Enterprise was just always an asshole.
How dare you?
See,
It'd be like having a Pulaski.
We love Pulaski.
I love Pulaski.
See, my problem with Jane is that he's that character. Because to me, it just feels, again, sort of like laziness, where it's just like, oh, good, if I ever need some cheap drama, I can make Jane untrustworthy, because I've established that he's untrustworthy.
All of these characters are archetypes. I mean, they're not like... They're not like these grand standout, like,
that's what
characters.
I mean. Nothing is special. And like, again, Mal is like a Han Solo type, and I am at this point in my life, I am beyond over Han Solo.
Okay, you know what's special? Wash fucking love Wash. I wrote in my notes,
Yeah.
Wash is the best character to ever happen, because I adore him, and I adore Alan Tudyk's portrayal of him.
I preferred K2.
Yeah, I think I said Alan Tudyk is a treasure.
Yeah.
Like, multiple times I complimented
his
Alan Tudyk.
relationship, or Wash's relationship with Zoe, is what all people should aspire to.
Yeah.
That I will say, I think I'm jumping the gun. We'll get to that next week. But in the pilot, I was mostly just like, what? Stop it. I did like that he kind of, like, not to his face, but called out Mal's malness when talking to his wife. I do not know why Zoe puts up with him. She should fucking put a knife in his back and make herself the captain.
Yikes.
Well,
I really despise this guy. Also, like, respect Inara's space and stop calling her a whore, you piece of shit.
yeah. Okay. Well, that's another issue
Yeah.
altogether. The character of Inara. So the suggestion here with Inara is that she is a prostitute.
Companion.
But a companion is a euphemism for prostitute
Well,
in this world.
kind of
Yes
like-
and no, though, because it sort of feels like they go through like special training.
Yeah,
It's-
and they
it's
also
not
pick
just
their
like
clients.
blowjobs for $5.
Yeah,
it's
it's
like
You know, I'm
It's
not
cultural.
knocking prostitutes. I'm just saying that's what
Well,
it is.
it's a weird mix of, like, expensive escort and geisha.
courtesan.
And
I was gonna say
courtesan.
it's
Yeah,
like
geisha's
courtesan.
probably more like
Especially again with this
yeah, because she
pseudo-Asian
does
culture.
the tea and like
Yeah,
the.
so
There's
yeah.
probably like washing
But,
and
like-
But
stuff.
also, she is the one always with the power whenever
Yeah.
she's in the relationship
You know-
with whoever is her client.
except when in an episode we won't get to this week.
Well, we'll talk about
Yeah.
it next. We'll talk about
She's
it another
not
week.
quite in the power.
But no,
Well, but ultimately she is.
yeah,
That's
and
next week.
all of Mal's interaction with her bothers me. And the fact that she has, I've called him worse, it's like, that was a line written by a man.
more than
Because
certain.
there is nothing you can call a man that's worse than calling a woman a whore. Like, fuck that line for existing. Fuck whoever wrote it.
Joss Whedon.
Probably did. Like, it pissed me off so much. It's like, dude, she already said this is her space. Don't just barge in. But the thing is, Mal has no respect for anyone, but expects all the respect to be given to him.
Because he's the captain.
But he does nothing to earn it. Like, he's a prick to everyone. I feel like, compared to a lot of other science fiction captains, like, in theory, they do something to earn... There's a mutual respect. It's like, yeah, like, again, we just finished TNG. It's like, yeah, I think the crew respects Picard, but Picard also respects his crew. Like, I don't think he respects anyone except maybe Zoe, and he respects Kaylee's talent, but I don't think he respects Kaylee.
I don't know. I actually think of all the people on the ship, the person he likes most is Kaylee.
Yeah, I think he has more of like a weird father-daughter type of thing.
Or even
Yeah.
like an
Brother.
older brother. Or
Yeah,
something.
I would do
Yeah,
brother.
older brother.
Yeah, but again, I think it's more because of her skill than
Protective.
anything
There's
else.
a protective nature to that relationship. But I think the thing is, Chris, with due respect to your opinion,
That's right.
that you are you are comparing, you're making unlike comparisons. I don't think we're meant to like Mal. I think Mal is meant to be an incredibly flawed character, and in a lot
Because they're interesting.
because he's very interesting, and it's not like he borders on anti-hero.
Well, that's my thing. Is like, I get flawed character. For me, he's so flawed that, again, I don't care what happens to him, and that's a problem. Like, you need to... you can have a flawed character, but still do something that makes me think, I want to see what happens with them.
Mm-hmm.
But, like, with Mal, they just made Mal so unpleasant
I think
that it's like, he doesn't appeal. I don't care about him.
I think especially in the pilot, which is so much of this the first two things, is he's portrayed really, really badly, and I think
Yeah.
the writers didn't realize how bad. I think that actually
Well,
goes
maybe
through.
Fox did.
Yeah,
Which
possibly.
is surprising.
But I think this stays throughout the show, at least from the stuff that I've watched so far. So kind of ahead of it. But like, it always feels like Mal's worst traits are played off as maybe not as bad as they actually are, because like he's really, really, really awful in a lot of circumstances. But it still kind of plays with him being like, oh, but he's the swashbuckling hero.
He tells
And
a good joke.
Yeah, and he's redeemable. It's like it's not that bad, but I think it is that bad.
Yeah.
But I don't
Are
think.
you dating Mal,
Yeah.
Rossi? Oh boy.
No. It's like, but I do really think that the people who were writing it thought Mal was a more redeemable character than he ultimately is.
Well, I would say though that I think what they're doing, or I think what they're trying to do,
They're trying to do an Akana.
is not even.
I liked Okana more.
Whoa.
is that, so they it's interesting that they open the show with the battle of the big battle that he loses at the end of the war.
They cut a scene too where they surrender, and I think he had a line of like something like whose side is God on, and that's where he loses his faith.
Oh God, that whole.
Yeah, so they open it with that. So I think what they're trying to do is they're introducing this character who's broken, who has no faith in himself, no faith in humanity, and he's just it's all everything that he does is out of desperation, and he doesn't give a fuck about anybody or anything. And he fulfills that throughout this episode until we have the reveal of River, and there's a glimmer of something in him that keeps him from turning in Simon and River. And then
that's a shame. They suck.
And then actively defending, protecting them from the government with the mole, even when it would be absolutely in Mal's best self-interest to turn them in, right? Like the mole is just like, listen, no one's going to care about the smuggling thing, but if you turn them in, you'll be a rich man. Jane is sort of like the other side of that, where he's like, yeah, I'm listening. I will totally turn them in until he has to be stopped. So I think that's what they were going for, is that Mal is he is a major asshole. He doesn't have any real redeeming traits as a person, but deep down, he wants to do the right thing somewhere.
And we do see that in both the first episode and in the train job.
I have problems with that too, actually, but we'll get to that when we get to the episode.
Well, I was just doing a nice segue.
Yeah,
no, I think I was trying to.
That was my super segue.
I was trying to push it along. Yes.
I sounded like you were putting the brakes on.
No, I was trying to be like, yes.
Listen,
let's.
there are no brakes on segues.
So the second episode that we'll discuss today is
the one that was actually
there might not be any brakes.
What
on a Segway?
I mean, they slow down, but it might be controlled by
enough of this. We're already running over time.
Yeah. So the second episode we'll discuss today is episode 2 of Firefly. It's called The Train Job.
It was the one that was aired first.
This was aired first, so if you were watching this on TV in 2002, you would have thought this was the pilot. In this episode, the crew is given a mission by this shady gangster Nishka to go and steal some Alliance property off of a train, which we can talk about why there's a train.
I have that
a
too.
Literal train, although it doesn't have wheels. It's a super
hover train,
but inside looks like a train. Anyway, so they have to go steal some Alliance property, which they do, but then they almost end up getting caught for it. They end up in this little podunk town. They find out that the stuff that they stole is actually the medicine that this town needs, or else many people are going to die. So having Mal having another potentially redeeming moment, decides to return the medicine to the town and not fulfill his commitment to the gangster, which will surely end well for our heroes.
And his heart grew 3 sizes that day, which was actually what was wrong with all the people in town.
Oh no, it explodes. Yeah, so I think Mel is a very different character in this episode. We see a lot of a very different side to him in this episode. I may be a swindler and a crook, but I also have a fucking conscience.
Right. He's also just more playful in general with his interactions with others.
Yeah, I think Nathan Fillion.
It's what Fox wanted.
Yeah.
I think Nathan Fillion. Regardless of how you might feel about the character of Mel, I think Nathan Fillion is a charming.
He seems
person
great.
And does a really good job with this character.
He's fantastic in Dr. Horrible too.
Yeah, and I think honestly, I would be I would be probably much further into Chris's camp on the whole Mal thing if I didn't find Nathan Fillion so charismatic and endearing.
I think it was a friend of mine's mother or grandmother had a wicked crush on him because of Castle.
Oh, one of my old bosses.
Yeah, I mean he's just a charming guy.
Yeah.
And it comes to, even when he's playing this character who's a monster, you can't help but be like, oh, you old scamp.
Yeah, there's
and he makes a lot of jokes.
Yeah,
too.
is it this episode where like he bursts into Inara's room and says like, it's like, I need Kaylee fixing the ship and doing some stuff, and like
that's this one.
It's like, stop messing with my with my
Can you do my hair too?
Yeah, and then he walks out of the room and then literally walks back in on frame and says, "Can you do my hair next?" And then, walks back on. Like, she's like, "No!" And it's like screams
Get
at him.
out!
It's like, it
And
almost...
she's like, "Oh, you remember when you called me a whore?"
Right, yeah, if it weren't for,
Every day.
everything that he,
Well, that
does
was
to her.
that was
But,
the
like,
thing, is like
that-
he's trying to be charming there, which again, Nathan Fillion's doing his best. But again, my first thought was, how many times now has she told you not to come in unannounced?
Yeah.
Like, fucking stop it.
It's
a
also
power
interesting.
thing.
It's
I
also
know, and it's-
interesting
it's
because I
it's
wonder
gross.
if it's in a way like a product of its time, right? Because it was, I mean, I don't know.
I mean,
This
what's
is
his-
the 40s.
It was
This is-
no,
No.
but it was a pre like Me Too world, right?
It's still...
What's his line at the time when she says, "What did I tell you about coming in my room?" He says something. Oh, it makes me, charming and dashing, or whatever the actual
Yeah.
line is. It's impulsive and manly.
When
And
you
she's
say
like,
no, you mean yes.
ooh.
Yeah, like, that's always been... Like, not always,
I
but
mean, that's what it feels like, right? I don't know.
I mean, in the previous episode, she's taking a bath. Or she's bathing herself. Book says, "Can I come in?" She says, "Yeah, come on in." And he's like, "Oh, but you're fucking naked. Why would you let me come in?"
Yeah, but she gave him permission.
Yeah,
He did the
that's
right
true.
thing.
But she probably should have told him, because that's kind of...
Yeah,
That's
she
kind of violation of him, in a way.
She violated his consent.
It's the future.
No,
She's
that's-
like, "What? It's my kink to
that's-
bathe in front of people," and he's like, "Don't bring me into your kink."
That
woman."
that is fair. Admittedly, like, the thing is, like, these two episodes, I honestly, I was honestly supposed to kind of bored. The only reason I have so much built up vitriol now is we were originally supposed to record this episode earlier, but it got delayed. I had a lot. It's all right. I wasn't going to blame anyone, but I had a lot of time to think about it. And the more I thought about the little things, it just built up and built up and built up, and I'm like, fucking Mal. So I also might have hated them less if we'd recorded earlier.
Fuck. You wouldn't have. You probably would have come to this point.
Yeah, but maybe not. But
I think you're also, and this is just me reading you as an empath, because
Are you an empath?
Troy is always here among us.
Well, how have you not mentioned
so
this
long.
every episode before now?
Chris cuts it every time.
oh god,
Son of a bitch.
What are you doing to that cat?
sorry, I was trying to put him down gently, but he kept getting caught on
He
A
keeps-
things.
talking cat?
He keeps growing more limbs.
So anyway, yes, Troy.
Yes. No, I also wonder, because I know you have a special hatred for Joss Whedon, that you're just seeing all the Joss Whedon tropes.
No,
as
do
well.
it in the Troy accent.
I don't. Troy doesn't have an accent.
So that's the thing, I was like,
it's some
all right.
other thing that she does with her mouth.
My main problem with Joss Whedon, before having seen this, was like, I'd seen random episodes of Buffy and Angel, and my main issue was
See, I've only seen Dollhouse.
his dialogue in
No one's
those
seen Dollhouse.
makes me want to just take very sharp pens and jam them into my ear. And I had people say, oh, you should try Firefly, though. He does that way less. And I very quickly found out, oh, that's true. The dialogue is way less self-consciously quirky and insufferable. There's moments. But, so I was like, oh, good. Maybe I'll like this because the Joss Whedon fucking dialogue isn't here. So I was like, yes, great. And at first I was like, all right. But then, like I said, after I was just like, I'm getting kind of bored. Oh, and Mal's awful. Oh.
You know, I'm angry.
And
now a week has passed, and I'm more angry.
Yeah, so I went in, I think, pretty open-minded, and at first was delighted. Because, again, the dialogue wasn't there.
Yeah, I also do hate, because I know friends of mine watch Gilmore Girls, which every fucking line is the writer patting themselves on the back.
Right? Like, Gilmore Girls, Buffy, and Angel are all in the same camp of just insufferably self-consciously quirky dialogue.
I love the Gilmore Girls.
I know.
I love the
That's
Gilmore
not a bad
Girls, but that's
thing.
not how human beings talk.
No, I know, but I don't fucking watch television
And-
because I want reality.
And here's the thing.
we
like,
fucking have a podcast about Star Trek. I mean,
Like, here's
it's
the thing.
not...
And I get that it seems sort of like,
Welcome to Realism Corner.
I can't define personally what the border is for me. Because, like, I'll watch, like, 40 screwball comedies where that kind of dialogue is, like, the whole point. But for some reason, they do it in such a way that I'm like, this is great and charming and fun. There's something about Whedon and whoever the hell wrote Gilmore Girls is like...
Amy Sherman Palladino?
That sounds right, thank you. They go, like, just a little too far, and it goes from fun to fucking stop.
Who is it that does, like, West Wing? Aaron Sorkin?
Yeah.
He's kind of in that camp, too.
Yeah, he
isn't
does.
Yeah,
He
it's
does
true.
very
He's
similar.
in the
Suck his own
he's,
dick with
he's
the
in the
dialogue a little
smart,
bit.
the
Yeah.
smart.
Yeah, he's a pretentious fuck.
Yeah, the pretentious dialogue. But I love.
But he writes
I love
well.
West Wing.
I've
you know?
never
He does
seen
write
it.
well. West Wing is very good.
I get enough politics in the real world.
But it's okay to say I like a thing, but acknowledge that
Yeah.
the writer
Yeah.
kind of sucks his own
Oh yeah, I
dick
mean,
off.
let's be honest. Most television writers are probably awful people.
Yeah,
Look at Gene
and-
Roddenberry.
And I mentioned because this I think is the episode where the other Joss Whedon trope of the fucking mysterious waif girl who turns out to be deeper than you think she's gonna be.
Who's also barefoot.
Who's
Always barefoot.
fucking River. Where I start to not be able to stand River
Because
because
she's
she's
another one that likes feet.
I think he is. Yeah.
He is.
Him and
Yeah.
Quentin Tarantino. Right
Like, well, everyone knows Tarantino. With Whedon,
That's a more recent realization.
yeah, but people clocked onto it and have since begun to realize, like, oh yeah, he really likes feet.
I'm sorry, Ames. I didn't mean to cut you off.
That's
but
fine.
you said that you were starting to not be able to stand River anymore.
yes. That's all I said.
Oh.
Yeah,
What-
like there's a couple notes in here. Already sick of River.
That
was-
Well, what's
that was
interesting-
fast.
annoying.
She's kind of a ripoff of a character from an anime called Outlaw Star, which again, space western. But yeah, she's like these sort of on the cusp of legality cargo ship is hired to shift mysterious cargo, and oh crap, there's a girl in the box!
Oh,
And
is
she's
there?
kind of like, she doesn't quite know who she is, but there's something special about her, and we find out what it is through the course of the show.
Yeah, but it's been a very long time since I saw Outlaw Star. I don't remember that character being as incredibly manic as.
Oh god, no,
River
no.
is.
But it's a very
No
similar,
one
like,
is as incredibly manic as River is.
But like she might even be, I don't know, she might even be in the same pose in the box. I'm not positive.
Maybe,
Don't
yeah.
quote me.
I mean, there's only so many ways you can fold a human into a box.
I mean, it could have been coffin shaped.
I think
You say that like
laid
you've
out.
tried.
Yeah, I feel
Such
like
a
they
weird
laid it on
flex.
way too thick with the River character, especially in
Yeah.
these early episodes when she basically she doesn't. She's a prop for the most part, and that prop is the crazy thing.
Yeah.
Mhm.
Yeah.
Like, what wacky thing is
Yeah.
is she
You
gonna
can't
do?
replace her with a sexy
Like-
lamp, but you could replace her with a crazy lamp.
Crazy
Yeah,
lamp.
exactly.
Like my friend who first introduced me to Firefly said, like, somewhere on the miles of internet that exists, there's people who've like taken every single line she said, because they get crazier and crazier throughout the show, of all the lines she's said, and try to like find the hidden meaning in them and all this stuff, because she just sometimes spouts nonsense poetry kind of thing, and I get tired of it, because you can see like, oh, they think there's so much meaning in her character, and like, no, there's not.
So
Agreed.
why I have trouble like seeing this episode as kind of redeeming Mal a little is that I feel like he's trying to have his cake and eat it too. It's like, yeah, I'm this rough and tumble outlaw. I don't ask questions. I got my trousers. But then it's like he happens to overhear.
He just took a dump.
Hike up my trousers.
Well, he happens to
I don't know why.
overhear what he stole, and now he's like, well, shucks. It's like, if you hadn't happened to overhear that, you'd have been walking away with your money, and everything would have been fine.
Well, what are the
Well,
odds
yeah.
that he was that they were stealing medicine? Like, he I'm sure he would have thought, like, some kind of asshole, like, what's his name, Mishka. So he's got to be in for it for something like really super illegal, and
That's right, but I mean, like, you don't get to be the guy that doesn't ask questions about what you're being
And then
hired
get
to
mad
do.
when you didn't ask
Well,
questions.
Yeah.
but again, I think it is totally in his character, and I think it works because, for one, he says at a point in this episode, like, it doesn't matter what we're stealing from the Alliance. He's very blinded by his hatred of
Yeah.
Oh,
the
yeah.
Alliance.
I mean, this is the episode that takes place on Unification Day. Was that right?
Yeah, that
Yeah.
opens with a big fight.
Yeah,
that he
because
starts.
fuck the Alliance. Oh well, it's funny how you always end up in some Alliance pub on Unification
But he
Day.
not just comes right out and says, we're getting, hey, we're fucking over the Alliance. This is great.
Yeah, I think he almost says, like, I would have almost done this for free or something.
Yeah.
Yeah.
But and then I think the sheriff at the end kind of sums it up really well. It's like, yeah, it's fine. If it's a hard world out here, and someone might not look too closely at a job like this until they actually see what the human repercussions are, right?
Yeah.
So he didn't. Yeah, for him it was just, yeah, I'm stealing from the Alliance and getting paid for it. This is great. But then when he's like, oh shit, people are gonna die. That's
Yeah.
the difference. It's not that he grew a conscience about thieving.
No, I know.
He grew a conscience about, murdering people.
Yeah, and also
indirectly.
they're all the people who are like him, all the people who are outside of the Alliance, who are struggling just like he is.
Who are being taken advantage of by a mining company that
Mhm.
are
Yeah.
letting them contract this fatal illness.
Yeah, and of course, the Alliance just ditches basically as soon as they're like, oh well, we didn't find the medicine. See ya.
Good luck, assholes.
So it's like, yeah. Mal did the wrong thing. Stealing was bad. It's bad to steal, but the Alliance wasn't going to help. So at the end of the day, he did the only thing he felt that he could do. In the same way that he chose not to turn the Tams in Serenity, he's now doing something that is objectively against his self-interest, defying Nishka to ultimately do the right thing.
Yeah.
I like the scene at the end with like the henchman where he's
Crow.
like,
Yeah.
here's the money, bring it back, we don't want trouble, and the guy's like, oh, so they...
I will, there's nowhere you can go, nowhere you can hide.
So they
I
just-
will find you and kill you.
So they just kill him, and then the next guy's like, we're all on the same page, great, money,
We're good.
good, I'm out.
I like that.
I liked that.
That was
was
clever.
fun.
You
I love
cannot
that.
be outside while those engines are on.
No, you can't.
That's a terrible
Very,
design.
very dangerous.
That's true of most things with engines.
Oh,
Like,
yeah.
your average
I was gonna
jet.
say I've seen video
Yeah,
of people going through engines
got
on
sucked through
planes.
engines.
Yeah, they
Why
come
would
out-
you watch that
You can
video?
survive.
No,
People
a dude
have lived.
survived it, so that's the one I've seen. He was actually mostly okay. Okay, we're moving on. We're
not
moving
into
on.
this.
We're
Not into
moving
this.
on. We're moving on.
Let's talk about dismemberment instead. That's funner.
Next episode.
Great, good, we're good.
But yeah, no, I mean, I get
Sorry.
that what you were saying, Jake. For me, it doesn't necessarily like help my perception of the character as
Well,
much.
because not being a fucking tremendous piece of shit doesn't make you a good person.
No.
Like, there are probably very few people on the planet who would
Jane.
Huh? No, I meant the real world.
Oh,
but
the
then
real.
I was
Oh
thinking
God.
Then I was thinking of Shkreli, whatever the fuck his name is.
Yeah, Martin.
And then I'm like, okay, a lot of people I guess would, but that's probably like less than 1% of people. Like most people at the end of the day are less than 1%. I think most people, if they saw that was the outcome, would not just say, well, tough titty.
You're
Yeah, but
much
you have
less
to-
cynical than I am.
But you have to go out of
That
your
has
way.
literally always been the case.
You have to go out of your way to bring it back, though.
And potentially put yourself at risk of being captured,
That's fair.
which almost happened.
He was captured by the sheriff himself, who luckily, gave him, a couple minutes to explain what was going on, and saw, oh, you're doing the right thing, not, oh, fuck you, you're out here doing a bad thing.
I don't know, couldn't you just leave that shit nearby and like
That's what they were doing.
Throw a brick through a window and be like, hey, your medicine is behind the haystack.
Well, that's what they were doing, but the sheriff happened to be out there with his team.
But I'm just saying that like 9 out of 10 times that would have worked.
Yeah.
I liked that sheriff because he seemed to know exactly what was going on.
Oh, from the
whole
off.
time.
Yeah.
Yeah. Except that he was fairly goo-goo-eyed about when Inara came down.
Well, yeah,
And
that's...
my note.
Have you seen any other pretty women on the show aside from the people on the train?
People on the
the
ship?
Firefly.
Firefly?
Yeah.
I mean, they're all pretty women, so except for I'm not a big fan of Summer Glau, but I'm just also don't like
Which
her.
one's Summer Glau again?
River Glau.
She is a little strange.
River
looking, though.
Summer Glau.
Well, she's also super childish in how she's portrayed. It's kind of...
No, I know, but she's got a very like I'm a model look, which is to say that she is like attractive, but like in a non-conventional-ish way.
Yeah.
There's something about her features that are a little, and I like
So
that.
pretty.
I like that,
I
but
think she looks like a thumb.
at least she doesn't look like a penis like your friend Jake.
Oh no! But anyway, so I was talking about the Inara thing, and I had a moment, and this also brings us back to we're actually a Star Trek podcast. Who knew? That Inara was, I think, what they were trying to do with Troy and failing miserably. Because when Inara goes down there and plays I'm actually your mistress. What word did she use? She's Mel is her indentured man, or whatever she says.
Yeah.
And she's come to return him, doing this kind of power thing where she is clever and can figure out the ruse and can mastermind into things. It's like, this is what Troy should have been from day fucking one.
Yeah, but
It's what Troy was in Face of the Enemy, and that's about it.
That's it. That's all we saw.
but again, I think that scene was undermined by the actress.
Who, Inara?
Yeah.
You think she's bad?
I don't think she's good.
I think she's really... She like, I feel like pretty much the main cast on this show are all really good actors.
Except for her, huh?
Except I think she really stands out as a line reader.
All right, see,
I haven't been bothered at all by her.
I didn't
I have.
notice.
It's distracting for me anyway.
Huh.
What else has she done?
She was in the unaired pilot of It's Always Sunny.
Yeah. Wasn't there something where we were watching TV and I said, "Is that so and so? Is that Inara from Firefly?"
She was recently in a.
Or did I
Netflix
see something
movie.
and say, "Was that Zoe from Firefly?"
I don't know. I think I might be. No, I'm 1 degree separated from Zoe in terms of like bacon degrees.
You met
Kevin
Zoe?
Bacon.
No, I acted in a thing with an actress that acted with the actress that plays Zoe.
Really?
Yeah.
That's neat.
Good story.
Cool story, bro.
She was apparently in Stargate at some point.
Mm.
Oh shit, she's Leslie Tompkins in Gotham.
Who is?
The woman that plays Inara, Morena Baccarin. Yeah.
Cool. Anyway, moving.
Her
on.
name is also Marina? Is that what you just-
Morena.
Oh, I thought you said it was Marina. I was like, holy shit, 2 Marinas who don't fucking act so great. Poor Marina.
Oh man,
Sirtis.
I was just watching an episode of SG1 recently with Marina Sirtis, where she plays a.
She's in Stargate?
She's-
So sad I missed her in
She was
Stargate.
she was a guest actor in an episode. She played a Russian scientist, and she did a Russian accent.
Chekhov. She had a Chekhov
And it was
accent.
it was Troy. It was Russian Troy, is what it was.
She's
Who?
but she's Vanessa, Deadpool's girlfriend.
Oh, wow.
Yeah.
She was really good in that.
She's also been the voice of Talia a couple of times in some cartoons.
Talia?
Ra's al Ghul's daughter.
Oh, neato.
Well, you can also refer to IMDb, listeners, if you would like to know more things
No,
that this
list
actress is
them.
in.
List them now.
List them all.
Tell me them.
There probably aren't that many, to be fair.
But anywho,
She's very pretty.
So why they have spaceships?
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
Why is there a fucking train?
Poor
Don't know.
people.
Because it's
But
a-
it's an
because
expensive
it's a-
ass train.
because
there
it's
was-
a
yeah, there was-
Western.
Oh, well then in that case, super rich
You
people.
no, it's because they want to be sci-fi and in space. It's the same reason why, despite being this really poor backwater town, the window of the bar is a hollow
Oh
window.
my god, I hate that. I wasn't gonna bring it up, and since you did.
See, I actually like these things. I think they're fun little
It
details.
reminds you,
They don't-
reminder, space.
They don't make any sense, but they're just fun. They're just dumb fun.
I don't know.
That's okay.
You know what's worse is that they were playing Chinese checkers
Oh,
That's right, they
gosh.
were.
to remind
Yeah.
you.
How do you say king me in Chinese?
I'm
Don't-
sure
no,
one
don't
of the
make it-
actors would...
Don't start making sounds.
No, Jesus.
They
do you think
have-
I'm...
No, him.
I
All
wasn't
I was-
gonna say anything.
All I was gonna say is, I'm sure whatever it is, the actors would have fucked it up.
I think it would be Emperor Me, but okay.
Oh boy.
Yeah.
Yeah,
But
so
no,
those
I
kind
think-
of choices.
I think it's the train because, it's probably the same reason why people go on fucking cruises. There are way better ways to get places, but they're viewed as being luxuriant. Trains, even now, are, effective, but you can also, you could much more easily, and possibly even cheaper, fly to a lot of places. You could take a train, and you choose to take the train because it's an experience and it's
Why
opulent.
would you ship life-saving medicine on the train?
something.
it
when
depends
it's-
on where it's coming from.
You're not allowed to take batteries onto airplanes, so sometimes there's just things you transport.
I
via the ground.
think I'm gonna go back to it's a big plot hole.
Yeah.
There's
if
no
you-
reason. There's
the
no reason for
medicine
there to
is-
be an old timey
The
train.
medicine is
It's
coming
just-
from
it's
space.
It's just a dumb, fun detail.
It
That's
also
It's
could be
just
like
a
I'll
a,
go with
it
that.
could be
I'm fine
it could
with
be
that.
a weight thing.
They were coming from space. They could have landed next to the town. Here's your medicine. And gone... boop, boop, boop,
They had to
boop,
go to
boop.
a big spaceport first. You can't just land a.
But
Because they have to
goes
go
back to what I was
through. They
saying
have to go
about-
through the way station.
Yeah, exactly.
Yeah.
There's plenty of reasons.
There are
Again,
lots
this
of
could-
fines if
you
you're
could
overweight,
place
you know.
this in the Old West with a regular train
And just
no
regular cholera
spaceships,
medicine.
and it's just it's regular cholera medicine and.
But would people watch the show if it were just a western?
I don't know.
People
but
like
if you-
westerns.
If you
I
have
like
space
westerns.
travel
Other
in,
western. Oh well, Deadwood.
I was
if
gonna
you're-
say, and Deadwood actually has an
Oh,
Asian
God.
character that's like a supporting
Have you
cast
watched the
member.
Oh yeah,
movie?
but it's not.
Not
it's
yet.
not. It's not good for. It's not good for
Wong
Asian people.
Swearingen, Hang Dai.
Have you watched the
It's
movie?
not
that
great.
just
Hang
came out?
Dai means brother. Did you know that?
Yeah,
I didn't.
It does.
I believe. No, I know, but the character is not.
Oh no, it was a
Ames
horrible
asked if you
stereotype.
watched the movie.
I have not seen the movie yet. I have to do that.
Do you?
Do I not? Is it bad?
I heard it's not great.
no.
It's not great.
Do they at least
The pacing is
Does Swearingen at
bad.
least say cocksucker a
Oh,
lot?
man. Many,
There's a lot of
times.
cock.
That's
if you're,
really the only
if you're
reason
only
I
in
watch.
it for the cocksucker, then you'll be fine.
Second question: are there any more naked titty hand jobs? Because there's an episode where EB gets a naked titty hand job in the middle of the bar while he's mayor. In the show,
I don't believe
it was a high
this
point
movie.
for me.
The problem is, because you're talking about a guy getting a naked titty hand job, what I'm picturing isn't getting a hand job from a topless woman, but a guy who's really fat and has big man titties getting a hand job.
No, he's pretty svelte.
No, I know, because it's the
He
guy from
doesn't
Blade
have any
Runner.
titties.
He's always been thin.
He's
What did we
always
see
been
recently
thin.
that EB was in?
Rocketeer.
Oh, Rocketeer. That's
No.
right.
And I called it too.
You
I was
did.
like, is
That's the last time
is
he
that
had a
my
naked
man
titty hand
EB?
job.
Oh, good. I'm glad I brought up the naked titty hand job.
Speaking
then,
of
too.
naked titty hand jobs, who else?
Buy
is,
me dinner first.
Who else is
Shit.
hating the romance between Kaylee and Simon?
Yes.
All of the romantic relationships
there a
are like
romance?
really forced.
Kaylee like
except
has a
for
crush on her.
Zoe and Wash.
And he kind of has a
Simon
crush on
might
her.
sort of be
Yeah,
flirting.
the will they, won't they. I mean, they do the same thing with Inara and Mal.
Will
too.
they? Won't
Yeah.
they? Who gives a shit?
Won't they? The answer is won't,
Yeah.
and
Please
we don't
don't.
want is
Oh yeah,
please no.
I guess
Stop.
she is kind of crushing on him.
Yeah,
isn't
I wrote
she?
down. Yeah, their
She crushes
relationship.
Well,
hard
that's
on
why.
him.
That's why Mal sends Jane away from the table. Because she's like Kaylee's being all flirty with Simon because he like, oh wow, a doctor, you must be really smart, and then Jane's a dickhead.
I mean,
True.
I don't know if it makes sense. I mean, I guess maybe.
She doesn't see many men. Think about it. She flies around
Yeah, I mean, I'm
with
thinking about
fucking
it like.
Mal, who's her brother, Jane, who's a douchebag, and Vash, who, though a perfect human being, is married.
And Simon's pretty.
He's all right.
I liked his glasses in the premiere.
Oh no, I thought he looked too much like a bad
Oh,
vampire.
I liked it. I thought it was good.
Are you a Dracula?
He was dressed like a Dracula.
But no, I wrote down like the cutesy thing between Kaylee and Simon is like the Niles Daphne thing, but they're both somehow Niles.
Yeah. No, that's perfect.
Except less like creepy, gropey.
Well, that's
Because I
true,
feel
yeah.
like Niles takes it to some levels. Like
He
when
does.
we were watching Frasier, like whatever a year or so ago, I was like, wow.
Yeah,
You
Niles is upsetting.
couldn't write Niles anymore.
Nope.
He's a
No,
creepy motherfucker.
Like that shit wouldn't fly anymore.
Or if you did, he would be like that creepy friend that shows up in one episode, and then hopefully the guys are like, "Look, dude, you can't hang out here anymore. You make the girls uncomfortable."
Oh, so it'd be like Big Bang.
Ugh.
Yes.
I don't see anyone. No, because Howard never gets thrown out of the group.
Yeah.
The thing I promised Ames I would bring up off air. So Kaylee might be known to some of you
Oh,
as
Kaylee's the one you were talking about.
having been in a short-lived Nickelodeon science fiction program called Space Cases.
First season only.
Yes, first season only. It was
There's more than one season of that show?
yes,
Two.
somehow.
Boy.
They made two.
But basically,
awful show.
a bunch of mediocre students from a space academy, go onto this alien ship with two of their teachers, but then the ship is like wormhole bitches, and then they're lost in space. And they've all got some kind of weird thing
Lost in
going
Space
on.
is a great
So
idea.
all of the characters are aliens, but each one is from a different planet in the solar system.
Yeah, like the idea is the humanity has lived on these planets for so long, evolution has started to diverge, even though it's only been like a few centuries.
Yeah, I think one is straight up. I think one's a quote unquote Andromedan,
No, you're right.
who is a like very alien person. But-
Yes, you're right. But everyone else is like a...
Kaylee is
I
from
don't-
the,
I
is from the
I think
rainbow
they might
hair
be,
planet.
They might be natives. They might not be humans that have diverged, but I can't.
But yeah,
recall
Kaylee
for
was
sure.
from Saturn, and she had what everyone thought was an imaginary friend, but in fact was someone she actually was mentally linked to who was from another dimension.
Oh, that's kind of fun.
And when she
Yeah.
left at the end, the way she left the show was her and the friend swapped.
Huh.
So she went to live with the friend in the friend's dimension, and the friend now was stuck on this terrible
So it was
ship.
also a way of introducing a new character to replace the one that had to leave.
Yes.
Yep.
There you go.
It's clever.
But yeah, she wore this terrible rainbow wig, which was obviously a wig.
Because she was from Saturn, so she had rings.
Yeah. But that's...
Did anyone go to Jupiter to get more stupider? Inquiring minds want to know.
Probably their android. I remember her being annoying.
But yeah, okay.
Thanks,
So,
boys.
anything more about the train job? Any more
No, it was.
about naked
They-
titty train job?
They had to write it in 2 days because Fox needed a pilot that wasn't Serenity.
Oh, so this was really just they pulled it out of their ass. Sort of show.
Yeah. Like they pulled it together. Like, oh fuck, okay, we'll give you this other thing we've been working on.
You would think they would have spent at least a little time like introducing some of the characters then, because
Well,
it doesn't feel like a
they-
pilot.
They did all that in Serenity, and it's like, how are you supposed to do it again?
Well, if
they
Serenity,
weren't
if
gonna show
Serenity was
Serenity.
rejected as a pilot, maybe they should have. I don't know. At least spent like 30 seconds to be like, why is this girl nuts, and why is
No,
Yeah,
it's
they have
okay.
to-
We had Shepherd Book telling us about how we used up the Earth and started exploring space. Everything's fine.
Oh crap.
Shepherd exposition.
Exposition. It's what's for dinner. Literally on the ship, in the kitchen.
Yeah, Shepherd Book is a character that we don't get too much about in these episodes.
He's another one that has kind of like the secret that you can see. Like, he punches out Dobson.
Yeah, no, obviously there's something going on
Yeah,
with him.
he's like a ninja or something. We
Well,
just
he
don't
was
know.
like a monk, sort of.
It sounds like he was a monk.
And lots of, especially if we're doing the Asian thing, monks used to learn martial arts.
Well, they
Is
still
he
do.
Shaolin Enter the Fisting?
Excuse me.
My. Shit.
Chris doesn't usually bring up fisting. This is a banner day.
I actually don't think it's a monk thing, but I can't remember. Like, there's things I know because of stuff I've seen later, but like, really, he never really gets illuminated on what's going on with him. But there's stuff.
Don't spoil.
No, I'm not going to. But
don't tell Chris he has nothing to look forward to.
There is stuff within the show that does hint at what's going on with him.
Well, the show we also know was canceled very early.
Right,
So.
yeah.
But
Any main plot arc you think
there
there's going to be.
there are absolutely hints to what Shepherd Book is.
I'm trying to think of some sort of joke about a priest and illuminated manuscripts, but I just can't make it work.
I believe there's a comic book that goes into the Shepherd Book
You're
story.
right, there might be.
There always is with these Whedon properties.
He's a shepherd, but yeah, they call him shepherds.
Shepherd Book.
They do. So we talked about the Chinese language that they try to work in, but it seems like
And the Chinese checkers.
other than Goram, which is apparently goddamn, it sounds like they also do the Battlestar thing with
Gosa?
Gosa. Is their version?
Did they do
of
that in
fuck.
VSG too?
Or shit?
They had frack.
Yeah, frack was
Battlestar
fuck
Galactica.
in Battlestar.
What the frack?
I assumed
But
that
they
Gosa
say-
was shit.
I think it's shit. Yeah,
think
but
that
on from
actually-
context,
Piece
I
of
think.
Gosa?
Yeah, I think it's shit. But it's the same idea. It's a way around the censors.
Yeah.
I enjoy the use of the word shiny.
I do not.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I think it's cute. I think
it's cute.
when it comes out of Kaylee, it's especially cute just because she's just such a cute little thing.
She does it the most out of everyone as
Yeah.
well.
Yeah.
Because she's also the one most likely to see things as shiny because she's an
I'm going
optimist.
to be honest with you. I think Simon is fine. It's cool to have a doctor on the ship who's
How
also,
did they survive without one
who's-
before?
right, they're
That's an
always
excellent
like-
question.
And, you know,
They
who's
got
like-
shot in both episodes.
You know, he's like the straight-laced one.
Oh god,
But
but
I
Kaylee
really-
had died. That was cruel, and I didn't like that. And the fact that everyone was laughing about it, they're all shitty.
Oh yeah, that was shitty.
Sorry, go on, Jake.
But yeah, I don't know. River, I could really leave it, especially because like
Or out an airlock.
Kaylee already kind of fills that like
Manic
the
pixie
manic
dream girl
pixie
shit.
dream girl trope.
But she's not like the I have secret like some kind of secret thing that you need to know.
But she also, but she's
But
also,
she could've
but
be
she's
a proper
also,
manic
but she's
pixie
also
dream
got
girl 'cause she's so
superpower. But she has,
tomboyish.
she has superpower engineering skills. You
Mm.
know, so that's her thing.
She's like Scotty.
If I had to have a favorite character, it's probably Kaylee.
Yeah.
Wash.
At this
agreed.
point, I see.
I'm
Okay,
all,
here's
I'm
the thing.
Team Wash.
Alan Tudyk is my favorite person in the show,
Mm.
but I kind of feel like Wash is. I think someone said earlier that he kind of is like immature, which I agree with. But I also sort of feel like tonally his character's kind of everywhere.
Mm.
Like I don't feel like I have a good sense of who he is.
Oh god, and having finally seen it in context.
Curse your sudden but
Yeah.
inevitable betrayal.
You don't like that? I love that.
It's just... I think it's just because I've heard it too much over the years that now I'm just like, oh, here it is. It's finally here. And really? Now you're doing this now.
Oh, see, I
in the middle of an important mission.
I didn't know what it was before seeing the
Oh, yeah, no. The one thing I knew about this show was people quoting that. It's on... You can get fucking t-shirts. And
Did you know that I'll Be in My Bunk is from this show as well?
I've not heard people quote that.
You ever heard someone say, "I'll be in my bunk"?
I mean, I guess I have, but I
It
didn't realize...
usually
It's a
happens
euphemism for
when
I'm gonna-
someone
I'm
says
gonna
I'm
go
going to go
jerk
crank
off.
one out.
I guess I didn't realize it came from this, no.
Yes, it did.
It does.
Oh, wow. Fascinating.
All right. Well, that being said,
We're gonna lose a lot of listeners, I think.
I don't know. Maybe they'll send us lots of hate mail and they'll
Yes,
love to
please
hate
send
us.
us your hate mail.
Please do.
How can they send us that, Caitlin?
Well, they can send it to Chris's home address
Don't
at...
you dare.
well, I mean, you edit it, so if you got hate mail, it'd be your own fault. Do we have an email account?
Yes.
We don't use it.
Nobody checks it.
Yeah, just
I
comment
sh-
on Facebook.
I checked it
Hate-
once, I think.
I think I checked it like 3 months ago.
Hate Two-Face.
All right. This week, we have discussed Serenity and The Train Job, the first 2 episodes of Firefly. Next week, we'll be discussing Bushwhacked and Shindig. episodes 3 and 4 of the same series, though probably not released in that order. If you like what you heard and you want to hear more, you can find us where all fine podcasts are sold. We are on Google Play. We're on Apple, whatever it's called now.
Yeah.
We are, of course, also on SoundCloud, which might be where you're listening to this now. If you want to check out our website, you can visit us at sshbpodcast.com. You can follow us on Tumblr and Twitter at
On the Tumblr, our fanfics might be up by now. Remember we talked about our fanfics last week and how great they were?
That was awesome.
You should check out the fanfics on the Tumblr.
You're still
I
annoyed
can't
about the way
believe
mine ended.
again, I apologize for not having one last week.
Past Caitlin has to
apologize for that.
start writing that because she only has 6 days left. I'm sure it's fine. Anyway, before I was so rudely interrupted,
I'm sorry, I wanted to make sure I got in there because you talk so fast.
Thank you. But yeah, if you want to check us out on Twitter and Tumblr, you can find us at SSHB Podcast. We're also on Facebook. Search for A Star to Steer Her By. Give us a like. Send us your hate mail via Messenger. Check out the links we share. And also, whether you're interested in fan fiction or not, you can check out the Tumblr, which also has our past assessments of seasons of Star Trek, as well as some fine articles, sometimes written by our crew. I think that's it. I have been Caitlin.
I've been James.
I am Jake.
This has been Chris.
And this is occasionally Ames.
Curse your sudden but inevitable betrayal.
Dinkelberg.
Thanks for joining us, James.
You're welcome.
We're very sorry. It's so hot.
You should
I'm
be.
not sorry, you deserve it.
No!